wanted to share this tip, especially for guitar players who practice the chromatic scales constantly for warm-ups and speed and all that kind of stuff. It works for guitar, it works for piano, it works for everything. Using the chromatic scale to come up with lines and ideas. And this is a jazz thing. It's really a Barry Harris thing, if you know who he is. It's a bebop dude. Here's the idea: is you can play the whole chromatic scale. I'm in C major, and that's just the regular chromatic scale. But the idea is if there's a half step in the scale, so in C major, between E and F, there's no note. And between B and C, there's no note. So what you do is you jump and go back. So you would play, when you play E, instead of playing E to F, you'd play E, G, F. And then you just continue. And the same idea goes for when you go to B to C. You'd play B, and then you'd play D, and then you'd go back. So then your chromatic scale ends up sounding like this. And you could keep going. And the cool thing about it is if you analyze it, every strong note in a chord lands on a downbeat if you're playing straight eighths or swung eighths or whatever. So if I play with a C chord underneath, and it works in reverse too. It's a little weird. You do it in reverse. So let's say I start on C. I would go up and back. So I would go C, D, B. Here we're at F. Between F and E, there's no half step for the chromatic scale to work. So we jump F, G, E. So if I'm descending, okay, so how do we use this? So let's just say we're ascending for now. So we're going one direction. So I'm going to play a C chord underneath. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play an arpeggio. I'm going to play all the arpeggios in C major. So C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, B diminished, and I'll play C again. I'm going to play the arpeggio going up, and then I'll play chromatic scale going back for every single one. Now it should work out where if I start on G, or if I start on C and play this lick, I'll end up where I started. So it should sound like this. It might not end up like that every single time, but that's okay. We'll do C major. C with D minor on top. E. F. So that one you have to add one more note. It's a little weirder. F, G. A. B diminish. And then C again. Now you can see you can use this in bits and pieces, or you could use it to come up with entire things. It doesn't really matter. And it works no matter what the chord is. So instead of C major, let's say we're talking about a C dominant 7. And it could be just a straight dominant 7, it could be a 9, it could be whatever you want it to be. Let's say that's the chord, C9. And I'll do the same thing. I'll start on G. Now, because we're playing C dominant, the half step relationship changes. So maybe I should stop and talk about that first. You're adding a flat, right? So the half step between 3 and 4 is the same, but the step between B and C is different. It becomes a whole step, and the half step becomes A to B flat. So that's where that jump is going to happen. So if I'm starting on C and going up, that's the same. This is different. If I try a G minor arpeggio, and then I'll go down chromatically. And that sounds pretty cool. What if I add a chromatic half step before I play the arpeggio? So like this. Let's try one that's descending again, because we just did a bunch of ascending arpeggios. So I'll just pick a scale tone randomly. I'll just do E. I'll pick F. F's a little weirder. So it ends up being like a 13 kind of a sound. I think that's cool. Last thing you should try to do, once you get your head around what you're doing, it could be in one scale. It doesn't have to be in every single scale, but it works with every single scale. It works with minor. It works with everything. What you want to do next is try to find chord progressions that's in music that you like and resolve what you're doing so it makes sense. So there's logic behind the ideas you're coming up with. Because if you just do it forever and ever, it just sounds like garbage. So I'll pick just like the first two chords in a blues progression, right? So it would be C to F. And all I want to do is, when I land on F, outline something in that chord so it makes sense. So there's logic to it. It could even be, some people call them target tones. So the target tones would be the notes in the chord. They're the most logical ones. So you could pick one tone and aim for that tone every single time. And then once you're comfortable with that, pick another one. Pick another one and pick another one. Always coming at it from C. So let's do a little bit of that. So I'll do the same thing. I'll do G minor 7, coming down chromatically, and I'll see where I end up. I'm not even going to really think about it. If I end up on a bad note, then I'll just have to figure out a way around it. That's all. So that will work. I don't have to do anything special, I don't think. If I play it better in time, maybe. Sounds perfect. Let's try G. Just descending chromatically. Let's try F again. So F, that's going to sound weird. That sounds like a 9. You could say that's a 9 of F. If you don't like that sound, you just have to find a way around it. So let's try this. Go up to D instead of F, or instead of C. So like this. another one. Just repeat the top note. That's a good one. Let's do one more. We'll do on the 7, the flat 7. That one just works out perfectly. You don't have to do anything with it. You just play it down the scale. You can see how easy it is to come up with stuff. Most of the time, I don't even really have to think about it anymore because I just practice the crap out of this stuff. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's really like, I don't, besides like technical practice for chromatic scales, this was the best way that I've ever found that worked for just coming up with stuff and really having it just kind of work out. So give it a shot. It works for everything. Just practice it all over the place, and it works really good for guitar too.